PayPal integrated application security while building Kraken. And I'll also cover a little bit of overview on Kraken and its application structure. So Kraken is the flagship open source project by PayPal to the Node.js community. When PayPal started building web applications, the Node community within PayPal was still evolving, with a few JavaScript engineers spread across different locations. As the number of Node applications grew, we found that all these applications required features like session management, logging, security, etc. And we found that most of the developers were doing things on their own. The design implementations were different for each team. With each developer doing things differently, it was unmanageable and quite messy. That's when we started putting together all the basic ingredients required for building web applications and released it as Kraken. So Kraken is nothing but a layer built on top of Express by providing core structure and convention. So if you know Express is a popular web application framework for building applications on the Node. So Kraken helps us to do all the scaffolding required for building applications at PayPal. Though Kraken is the main pillar for building applications in PayPal, PayPal has built an open source number of other modules that you see on this slide. Some of these modules could be used outside of Kraken. Some of them come built in with Kraken. In this session, I'm primarily focusing on modules related to security. Let us see how Kraken helps you to build a secure web application. So, with all that theory, let's dive head first and see what it requires to build a sample Kraken app. So, what you see on the right side is the boilerplate code, which is generated by Yeoman. So, we have a Kraken Yeoman generator, which helps you to create a minimal web apps. So, all the boilerplate code required is generated by Yeoman. So Kraken helps us to keep the code organized by splitting up configuration, routing logic, localization and templates, etc. into various folders. So if you look at the configuration folder, we have plain JSON files which has key value pairs that are loaded at runtime. The advantages of this is all your application configuration is put in one single phase, so it is easier to track and you can change them without touching a single line of code. So it also helps you to manage configuration based on different environments. For example, at PayPal we have different configuration for development testing and production. So all your routing logic moves under controller folder. You can also group routes based on different functionality. And localization is made much more simpler. On the bottom right side you see the code snippet for delivering localized content. So all you need to do is set up the context in your response object before rendering your template. So this will instruct the Kraken framework to pick up the appropriate content bundle from one of the locale folders. Most of the PayPal products are designed for processing payments online, and we deal with sensitive information like credit card and bank account details, which are stored in our digital wallet. So security is like very much important for building web applications in PayPal. So let us see how some of the security features are built into Kraken. So Looska is the Uber security module that comes built in with Kraken. So it helps you to set up the basic code required for integrating Looska into your Kraken app. So there are two ways of doing this. One on the left side where you see you can actually write code to glue Looska into your application instance, or like the one on the right side where you can simply configure Looska. So defense techniques against common security threats like cross-site request forgery, cross-site scripting are enabled by default. There are a lot of other security features which you can come on to. So let us see how Looska defends some of the popular security attacks. So if you are familiar with cross-site request forgery, this is a popular security attack which is also listed in the top 10 security threats on the web by Open Web Application Security Project. So in this attack, usually the attackers trick an authenticated user into performing an action against a trusted site. So for example, the attacker might construct a malicious website or an email link and induce the user to execute the action against the website. So in this example, what you're seeing is a user logs into a banking website. The website drops a cookie onto the user browser. Now the attacker understands all the parameters required for performing a security attack. It's fine. So we were talking about how an attacker executes a CSRF security attack, right? So the attacker understands all the request parameters for carrying out this request. So he will construct a website. He can basically do a simple image tag that will have the URL for your website. And then as soon as the user logs in, he might click the link given by the attacker, let's say in an email. So as soon as he clicks the link, it goes to the attacker's website, and from there it issues the cross-domain request. There is another simple technique which the attacker could use. This takes the form of an hidden form which will contain a script which will auto-submit this form. So in this, both these techniques, a cross-domain request is issued by the attacker's website to the application which is vulnerable. So how do you defend CSRF attacks? So CSRF vulnerability arises because of the fact the browser submits the cookies to the issuing web server for each subsequent request. So, so the standard defense against CSRF attack is to supplement cookies with additional form of session tracking. So this usually takes the form of exchanging tokens between client and server. So if you see for defending CSRF attack, what the server will do is it will generate a token, we call this CSRF token, and then it will send that token for the first request to the client. So for each subsequent request, your clients are expected to send this token so that the server can validate the token that the client is sending with the token that is stored in the session. So if you see on the top, we are storing that token inside the session, so that each subsequent request will be validated with that token. So we have some configurations available with Looska for CSRF, like you can define what should be the key name that should be used by the client and what should be the key name or secret used by the server to store the token in the session. We also have a plugin for implementation. By default, Looska uses the SHA-1 algorithm with Salt for added security to generate the token. So you can have your own custom implementation for generating the token. Finally, the cookie and the Angular parameters are used for Angular apps. So Angular has a different mechanism for defending CSRF. So what it does is the server application generates a special cookie for CSRF which is different from the session cookie. And then it will expect the client to send a separate header which will have the token. So the server can validate the token matches with what is available in the CSRF cookie. So UI redress or clipjacking is another interesting security vulnerability. So we saw that CSRF attacks or defense solutions aim at ensuring that the web requests are coming from your own domain and not from the third-party domain. But clipjacking involves basically allowing a third-party site to submit a request to a different application. So this basically takes the form of attacker loading your application inside an iframe, and then on top of that he will overlay his own page, and that page may have some content which will entice and encourage the user to perform some action. For example, clicking the mouse on a specific region where a button is placed. So, so here if you see what is happening is the attacker is hijacking the click event which is meant for his site and then targeting it to the application which is vulnerable to clipjacking. So how do we defend clipjacking? Right? So in the initial days of clipjacking, we had only one solution, which is frame busting. So this technique involves identifying if your page is being loaded inside an iframe, and if it is loaded inside an iframe, you just bust out of the iframe and load your page in the full browser. So the code on the left side shows the sample code to determine if your page is being iframe. But attackers beat the frame busting code using several techniques. One simple solution is to write an event handler, what you see on the right side, which will disable the frame busting code. So Microsoft came up with a different solution which is much more robust than frame busting code. So with IE8 they introduced a special header X-frames options. This header can take two values. One is deny, which instructs the browser to not allow anybody to iframe your page. The other value, same origin, tells the browser that only your own domain can iframe the page. So that way, no third-party site can iframe your application. So JWT CSRF is another module that could be used outside of Kraken. This module is developed to provide CSRF protection against stateless applications. So earlier we saw that for CSRF defense, you need to store the token inside session. So which means you have to maintain the state on the server side, right? Maintaining the state on the server side leads to a lot of different problems, just like how global variables create problems to your code, right? Especially at PayPal, we have dozens of middleware components which started sharing this global mutable state, and that created a lot of bugs for us. So we started going stateless. So when we went stateless, we wanted a solution for CSRF, and that's when we came up with this JWT CSRF module. JWT is nothing but JSON Web Token mechanism, which is popularly used by many websites. This technique is basically to store authentication information in a stateless way. This module by default uses a technique called double submit cookie, which is very popular for stateless CSRF protection. It basically involves submitting a special cookie with the CSRF token, and in combination of sending a special token in the form of hidden form field or special HTTP header. So on the screen you are seeing how you can generate the token on the server side, and also from the client code how you can send this token to the server. Right? Memcookies is another module. This can also be used outside of Kraken. At PayPal, we have a lot of applications that serve millions of requests per day. And we found that significant percentage of traffic is being rejected because of cookie disabled browsers. So we wanted to find a solution. So we all know like cookies are an integral part of web application, basically to transfer stateful information about the user to the server side, right? But in case of cookie disabled browsers, we have two problems. Like one is like how you can store the cookie on the client. The second one is how the server can send back the cookies to the client or browser, right? So what we did is we wrote this module which is like a middleware. So it will intercept both request and response. So there is no changes to your application code, and the application code can work with cookies as it does with normal web applications. So when the middleware intercepts the response, it will read all the cookies and construct the encrypted value which is derived from all these cookies and put this in a special HTTP response header. Similarly, on the client side, you will have a special header for sending these cookie values. So the server, when it receives that header, what you see like the X cookies is the header sent by the client. So on the server side, we read that header and decrypt that value, and then construct the cookies in the response object, so that all downstream components can use the cookies. So that's all I have. So we have some blogs and articles written on Kraken and some of the modules that we open sourced last year. There are some links for GitHub repos. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions.
Hello. Thank you for the first backend talk. And this is nice talk. What I wanted to ask is, so you showed us a lot of things, but Kraken is built on Express, right?
Yeah.
So the request response which we build is same as Express.
Yes.
Kraken is just a middleware.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes. All the modules that I showed you, they are all middlewares.
So request response objects are passed from Express and then reprocessed. Yeah.
That's just a small app. You're mounting a Kraken app on top of Express.
Yes. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for the talk. I just wanted to inquire about the Kraken that do you also have a module in the Kraken that helps in the role-based routes? Like
I couldn't follow the question.
do you have a role-based security mechanism in the Kraken inbuilt?
No, as of now, we don't have.
Thank you.
Yeah, so looking at Kraken, how is it any different from using Sales.js or Compound.js?
Yeah, so there are several frameworks like Sail and Loopback and Happy, which are all I wouldn't say they're equivalent of Kraken, but they are all different frameworks using which you can build web applications. But for Kraken, specifically the advantages you have is application security is inbuilt. I'm not sure about Sail, what it does. And localization also is inbuilt within Kraken, and this is most useful for PayPal because most of our applications need to deliver localized content.
Okay, but does it affect your speed of request response because you're adding so many middlewares? There's a lot of encryptions, decryptions, and primarily JavaScript isn't really very good with that.
Yeah, that's a nice question. So that is true. So what we did is we have a module called Preload for the server side, where we are doing most of these operations async. Some of these APIs that we hit to read our databases and account information like that. So we have Preload to optimize such API calls.